Welcome back to Baffle House. We are doing a little bike build. We're doing a bolt-on build with a 2019 Triumph Speed Twin. This is my own bike, so it's quite exciting. We're doing this build in conjunction with Bevan Triumph in Cardiff, Motone Custom Parts and Nitron with their amazing looking dampers. We're going to swap the dampers front and rear. We've painted the tank, and what else are we going to do? We are going to do an Decat, so the Motone Decat little gadget. We're going to swap the cans, tail tidy. We've done the ring, the headlight ring, and we're going to do a few things like changing the brackets and all kind of bolt-on stuff. The idea of doing this is to see all this stuff is being marketed and sold as stuff that you can do at home and stuff that you can, during lockdown or COVID and so on, people need stuff to be, their hobbies. They're going to be doing their bikes at home a lot more than maybe they were before. And I'm not really allowed on the tools, so now... yeah, this is kind of crazy, really. The guys have given me a set of tools and they said, right, crack on, let's get this done. So there's just, well, keep your fingers crossed and let's see how it goes. Cheers. So, this is by no means, you probably all guessed this now, I'm by no means a professional mechanic and this is not a technical video. We're going to just stress that. However, I have learned a lot of things today. One, that already it's becoming apparent that maybe changing the front forks or the cartridges in them is not exactly DIY. There's some, we're lucky enough here, we got some tools like we needed that bad boy there to take the axle out of the wheel. So we tried doing it without taking the wheel off. Some of the things, maybe the Nitron stuff, it looks absolutely superb quality, but in the instructions for the Nitron stuff, there's a couple of lines like it says, remove OEM kit. So you need this then, because you're not going to know what the hell to do otherwise. So fair play to the Haynes manual. We've got all our instructions here for removing all these bits and pieces. I probably wouldn't have bought that either if George hadn't have threatened me to actually go and buy it, because all the torque settings are in here. So this headlight bracket is from Motone, and instead of the kind of cast silvery alloy one that you get as standard, with the bike, we're swapping it to a black anodized aluminium bracket, which also lowers the headlight down for a bit of a better look. So we'll get that on in there. The next up, what have we got? We've got these dampers from Nitron. How good do these look? So we've never tried these before or ridden with them, so the guys at Nitron reached out and were saying they do an amazing kit for the Speed Twin, front and rear. So the plan is now is to fit it, and we will go for a spin and see how they're done. So that's the bolt like tidy kit from Motone. Okay. Okay. So next I got to jack up the bike now to lift here. Well, I actually bought that to actually lift motorbikes up on, thinking it was the same size as this big one in here. So it's nice that it's actually coming in handy. Let me flip it over. Oh, I see. I've got it. Okay, fine. So next up, we're going to do the X pipe, which I think is probably the biggest part of this DIY build. To do this, I think we have to take off these headers. We have to loosen these bolts here or take them off. We've got like a little protective, little bit of metal down here, I think, or some. Oh no, that is the Decat. Or that is the Decat even. So we do that. I think we've got bolts here, here, all over the place. So yeah, I think there's one there I can see underneath the fuel tank as well. So this bit's going to take me a little longer, so I'm going to get my head into it. I'm going to have to read some instructions first as well, and then yeah, we'll see if we can prise the frame open a little bit to slip this one out and put it back in. Wish me luck. Okay, so a little update now. So what I'm doing is I'm getting my head round to how many 5 million bolts there are to take the catalytic converter out, and yeah, so bear with me. I'm just getting my head around it and just seeing basically all the different nuts and bolts what we need to do to take all this out. It's not as simple as I thought it was going to be. There's a hell of a lot of bolts and fixings and really evil locations for them to get them undone. So yeah, we're working our way through it, and yeah, it's all right. I'm just taking my time with it. I don't want to look too much of a twat on film. You know, breaking bolts and snapping things is what I would normally do. So yeah, right. Is it DIY? Well, yes, I would say this one can be done because you don't have to have a jack to lift it up in the air and so on. You could do this with the bike propped up on the floor or so on. But there's a lot of nuts and bolts to do basically, and I'm just and that was something terrible falling over, whatever that was. We're just having a little break, sponsored by Greg's and Baffle Culture enamel mugs. Now you may wonder, where do you buy these mugs? Well, you can buy these mugs on baffleculture.com. They're not expensive and they make great Christmas presents. So she's out. Was a bastard really. You have a job to do, but especially if you don't know what you're doing. But yeah, so that's out. You can see it's really heavy. Okay, and then we're just going to reverse everything that I've just done and refit all this. I've got slackers like that, so I'm imagining that's the rubber there, that rubber needs to come out as well and be refitted. So let's do it. Okay, so I've swapped over the rubber mounts from the old Decat to here and here, and now I'm going to slot this in. We're going to go this way up or this way up, what do you reckon? Okay, so that is one side of the Decat complete, and it made sense while I was doing that to ditch the factory exhaust and get installed these new Motone, I think they're called Saturns. I could have the name completely wrong, but some really sexy, lovely little cans. And long story short, these are prototypes made from Motone. This is the first set going onto a speed twin. So yeah, there's a tiny little bit of work left to do for fit and finish, as in just like the actual angle of the brackets and things like that, but we can work around that. But I think everyone will agree they look awesome, and I'm sure they're going to sound amazing. Motone have given us these really nice little like peg delete kits as well, so you bolt these up from the back to actually hang them on this. They look really smart. Alright, let's do the other side. Okay, so let's just take this back down. Right. So here it is, my speed twin. You may remember we started this project in 2020. It's now 2023. Okay, so earlier on in the video, you'll remember that. What were we doing? We were fitting all sorts of bits and pieces to this bike. So I'll just run through everything that we've done and what we had. So Nitron rear dampers, front fork cartridge kit. I'll start with that. The rears, nice and simple to fit. We needed a jack to jack up the middle of the bike to lift it off the ground, to be able to let the suspension drop, to be able to bolt it all together nice and safely. Next, we did the forks. I say we because I started them on my own and then maybe had 2 or 3 people have to help me because they're not a DIY kit on the front of the bike. I don't think so anyway, not unless you're super confident and you're fully kitted up. Some crazy mental tools that we needed to fit it, stuff that I've never even heard of or seen before, like a spanner. And but yeah, so what we had to do is take the wheel off, take the brakes off, strip all the forks down, then strip the forks apart. We had to heat the forks up, we had to take seals out, we had to take cones from inside the forks out, basically completely dismantle them, and then remember how we did all that and put it all back together. Nitron have been amazing customer service wise, and the quality of their equipment looks superb. I haven't actually ridden it yet on the road because today the weather is terrible, like proper rough. So that'll come next. We'll do a little driving video and I'll see if I can give some information over about all the suspension and how to set it up. But first impressions, the quality is next level. Next, what did we do? We got a load of Motone goodies. So I fitted some risers to this bike because I'm 6'2", and I found the bike, I was crunching over a little bit too much. So I've got some risers on here which bring the bars up and forward a little bit, which makes it a lot more comfortable for me. We've got a one-off stainless chain guard, which is a prototype for this bike, as well as the Saturn exhausts, which are a brand new item from Motone for this bike. We'll start it up in a minute and we'll see what it sounds like. We've got a gas cap from them, various other little nuts and bolts and bits and pieces just to tidy the bike up, and then underneath we've got a sump guard as well because I'm riding it. And what else have we done? We've also used their lowering brackets as well to actually lower the headlight down and give it a bit more of a nicer look. Some Triumph bits. We've changed the front ring. We've swapped the brake levers. I've fitted an Oberon mirror. That's how you pronounce it, I hope. And I've ordered another one for the other side as well because the type of bike it is, it's pretty quick. I feel a bit more comfortable having 2 mirrors on this one, I think, as opposed to just one on a cafe racer or something. The last thing we did as well was the Motone thing, or the first thing we did, but the last thing to talk about was the Decat. So that was DIY, but it was a patient DIY, 4 hours, 5 hours, strip all the frame down, remove all the exhaust, then make sure you put it all back together properly and so on. So there we have it. Other little things we've done. Motone tail tidy, which utilizes the original OEM Triumph LED light, which is a really nice bit of kit and really tidies up the rear end quite well. And it's had a really good clean now, and we obviously painted the tank and so on. That's my little build finish. Took longer than we expected, mainly due to the front forks and not having the tooling or the knowledge on how to do them. So everything on this bike is DIY apart from them. I would recommend, if you're going to swap the front fork kits over, get a professional involved, go to your local bike mechanics place and get them to do it, would be my advice. So yeah, should we start it up and see what it's like?